Okay, welcome everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our Carillon Communities Freshman Connection webinar. We're really excited that you've taken some time out of your evening to join us tonight and learn a little bit about Carillon Communities, a living learning program here at the University of Maryland. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Ben Beltran. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the Assistant Director of Carillon Communities. Tonight, we'll have some great information for you all to learn a little bit about Carillon, why it's a meaningful experience. You'll get to hear from a couple of students, which will be really great. And we'll also highlight some of the nuances for you all as Freshman Connection students. And we imagine that you probably have some questions, and we'll be sure to carve out a good amount of time at the end for you all to ask those questions. And so a few things before we get too far, I do want to orient folks to the Zoom webinar landscape. So there is a chat feature, sort of like a regular Zoom call. So if you are experiencing issues where you can't hear us or something's going on, feel free to send us a note there and someone from our team can assist you. If you have a question that arises at any point during this presentation, there is a Q&A button as well. And that's where I would invite you to ask questions about our program and things like that. And we'll collect those questions. They will queue up for us, and then we will be able to answer them for you at the end. Closed captioning is available. There's a button for that you can enable if you need that. And I think that's pretty much it before we get started. If there are questions about logistics and things like that, feel free to put that in the chat. But otherwise, we will go ahead and begin with our presentation. And I first of all want to welcome you all to the University of Maryland, congratulate you on your admission. It's really exciting to be able to welcome new students every year. And we know that you have so many great things that you can offer our campus community. So just welcome from those of us here at the University of Maryland. We're so excited to have you. All right, and so before we get into a lot of the information, I did want to create an opportunity here for our faculty director, Dr. Abby McEwen, to say some words of welcome for you all.
Thanks so much, everyone, or thanks so much, Ben. Good evening, everyone. I'm Abby McEwen. I serve as Carillon's faculty director. I also lead our art and activism community. We so look forward to welcoming you to the University of Maryland in August. I'll say Carillon Communities is thriving. We're growing truly by leaps and bounds. We welcomed our 10th class this past fall, and we're so excited for what the next decade holds. We have a remarkable community of faculty who are kind of stellar and kind of internationally renowned researchers who opt in to teach with Carillon, who want to teach first-year students in their first semester of college. We have an amazing staff that plans all kinds of events, co-curricular opportunities for students. We really feel that we offer students a transformational experience, welcoming them from high school into college and then launching them into their professional careers and their lives after Maryland. Ben will kind of go over the nitty-gritty of Carillon and walk you through what a year in Carillon looks like.
Great, thanks, Abby. So this is our Carillon staff team. I like to start here because we've got a great team. So you've met me, you've met Abby, Jenny and Miriam are both on the call as well. And then we have Sage, our graduate assistant. And I'd like to highlight our team because these are the folks who are really on campus and serving as a great resource for Carillon students day in and day out. So this campus is, it's large, and having those touch points, those people you can go to if you have questions or if maybe you're struggling a little bit, that's really key. And so we sort of are really lucky to be able to be that for students who participate in Carillon Communities. So the Carillon Communities mission is right here for you all to read. I won't actually read it word for word, but I'll give you a second to look it over. What I'll highlight here is that we are a living learning program that is specifically designed to help first-year students be successful, and to sort of maintain their well-being as they're making that transition to college, right? And so when you get to college, that time can be really exciting, but it can also be a little bit challenging. And we want to be there for students to help them kind of be successful and to start to think about how they want to make the most of their time at the University of Maryland. And so that's kind of what we're all about. Everything that we do is grounded in that. Okay, so I want to make one thing clear, which is that for Freshman Connection students, Carillon is really something that you're opting into. And it's a really unique opportunity for you to opt into a living learning program. Um, because it's your choice, I do want to illuminate some reasons why we think it might be a great choice for you. So as far as why you might consider Carillon Communities as a part of your experience, the first thing that I like to lead with is the fact that we are able to create a community for you on campus that is smaller than the larger campus. And so if those of you who have been to campus, who have been to College Park, you've probably seen it. It's pretty big, right? And so by participating in Carillon Communities, we are able to help you feel like you are in a smaller community within the larger community, which is really valuable and will hopefully help you to feel like you're at home when you're here. We've got some great faculty and staff on our team who are really passionate about supporting first year students. They choose to do this work with us because they want to be a resource for first year students. And you'll get a chance to hear from one of our faculty in a bit. But really, I like to also emphasize that this experience is only as great as our faculty make it, and we have great faculty. Additionally, I think Carillon is a great opportunity for students who are looking to intentionally design their UMD journey, right? And so one of the ways that we do this is through the Idea 101 Carillon Studio course, which you'll hear about in a bit. But really, this is an opportunity for you to think about how do you want to make the most of your time at Maryland? What kinds of goals do you have as it relates to your major, as it relates to your career, how you want to be involved on campus? We try to help provide that framework so that you as students can be able to reflect on that. Woven into all of our coursework, you'll see teamwork, creative thinking, and those are things that we think are beneficial not just for you while you're here on campus, but they're also really valuable skills to have in the workplace and in life. Right. And so you'll see that in our coursework that there's a lot of collaborating with your peers. There's a lot of creative idea generation and things like that. And we think that's really cool. And that is something that's unique to our coursework that many students really value and find to be beneficial for them. And then the last thing I'll highlight here is that as a living learning program, we are offering sort of a holistic experience. So you're, of course, engaging with us in the classroom and our two required classes that I'll talk about. But in addition to that, we're also creating opportunities for you to engage outside of the classroom. And so you'll be living with your peers potentially in the same residence hall. We'll be putting on different events and co-curricular programs in the residence hall or taking you to places off campus. And so really, I like to illuminate the fact that when you're in a living learning program, it is truly more than just the coursework. It is a holistic experience. It's a way to have that community outside of class and to have that network that you're plugged into. And so I think that that is something that is really valuable as a first year student. Okay, so this is sort of the nuts and bolts slide here. For those of you who are wondering, okay, like this all sounds really good in theory. What exactly am I signing up for? Like, what are the program requirements? This is pretty much it right here. There are two required courses. There will be one big question course. And for you all, that's already predetermined. We'll talk about it. The big question course is a general education requirement. Our courses are 3 credits, our big question courses. And so you'll get those 3 credits of a gen ed checked off right in your first semester, and that's a huge plus. In addition to that, the second required course is the Carillon Studio course or Idea 101. This is a 1 credit course, and it is sort of an introduction to creative thinking, to design thinking, and it's an opportunity for you all as students to really be able to reflect on how you want to design your Maryland experience. And we've got a great video that will share more about that course in a bit here. So the two required courses, that's the living part of living learning. Or no, that's actually the learning part of living learning. The living part is living together in a residence hall. And so for students who choose to live in our designated housing, you will be in Easton Hall, which is one of our residence halls up on North Campus in the Denton community. And so, as I said a moment ago, that is really adding to the experience because you are in classes with your peers, but those same peers are also living with you in the residence hall. And then additionally, I alluded to this a moment ago as well, we have lots of things that we offer to students that aren't necessarily mandatory, but they're just sort of fun events that you can go to and ways to build community. And the ones I like to highlight are the DC trip. So when you all come to campus, you'll move in, and then the very next day, we will take you all into Washington, DC, and we'll visit a variety of different museums there and different sites. And that will actually be led by your faculty. And that will be a great opportunity to meet your peers, to make those early connections, but also to start to engage with some of the topics that will come up in your coursework. And so that picture actually on the bottom left is from this year's DC trip. And so that's a great tradition we have. In addition, we also have our Carillon Showcase. So at the end of the semester, students from Carillon will present on their different team projects that they worked on throughout this fall semester. And it's a great way for them to showcase their learning for the campus community. And then so that other picture on the top left is a few of our students at the Carillon Showcase. Okay, so we are comprised of 12 different communities within Carillon. So these are all the different communities. These are the big questions that are posed in those courses. I do want to highlight for you all, assuming that you are in Freshmen Connection, there is one designated community for you all, and that is the Masculinities and Family Health community. And you can see the big question there as well. And we will talk more about that course in a second here. But I did want to show you sort of as a whole, the different kinds of topics that other students in Carillon will be engaging with and sort of the breadth, right? So we have lots of different academic disciplines represented here. And as well, we also have students who are coming from lots of different academic majors. And so that's something that is by design, right? This isn't a living learning program for folks who are just interested in one sort of topic or one career. We sort of bring together a diverse group of students to explore all these different big questions. All right, and now I'm actually going to kick it over to Professor Roy, who is the leader of our Masculinities and Family Health community, and he's going to talk for just a bit about his course.
Thanks, Ben. Let me welcome everybody. First off, we're very excited to have you join us tonight. We're very excited to meet you eventually, and of course, congratulations on getting into Maryland. I'm excited that this has been my first year kind of working with Freshmen Connections and Carillon to offer my course, and so it's been a great experience, and I'm excited to kind of do it again in the next few months. I'm a professor here in the School of Public Health. I've been at Maryland for 19 years. My research has primarily been with fathers and working within families. I've worked with a lot of men who are non-residential fathers, incarcerated men, getting them involved with their kids in community programs. And recently began to really become interested in masculinities, mental health issues, because I'm in a School of Public Health. We do a lot of applied work in working with families. And so this kind of is what I've been doing. And the course itself is something that I've offered since 2017. I've offered it to well over 1,000 students. I pretty much teach it every semester, but this is a special time when I can tailor it to first-year students, particularly in Freshman Connections, and your interests and your questions. This is a course that students will basically say, we've never been able to talk about these kinds of issues in high school. We have never taken a course like this in college. And it's really, it's focused on what's going on with with guys? How are things changing with men? But interestingly enough, most of the people who take the course are young women at the university. And so there's a dialogue that we have about men's health, broadly speaking, but it's not just a course for men by any stretch. And so we bring lots of material from public health, and we bring that in with social science, so psychology, sociology, really looking at family science, which is my field. We cover a whole range of different topics, and I'm able to kind of get a sense, because our class is small, I can get a sense of what your interests are and tailor some of the material. But we talk about development of boys and men as they learn to become adults in the world, and as they age and develop over time. We talk about fathering. We also look at men's lives in context. So we talk a lot about race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, social class. So how do all those things matter to men in their lives? We look at both mental health and physical health. So it's a very interdisciplinary course. It's very exploratory. And I just want to highlight the one thing that we did as a group project last year is we were very concerned about mental health issues that a number of men might be struggling with on campus and in our communities. So we went out, and as a group, we paired up in teams and interviewed both administrators and students about men's mental health. Are there concerns we have? What can we do about it? And we pulled all those interviews together, and we analyzed what the interviews were and put together a report that we're going to be presenting to a task force on the mental health and well-being of UMD students here on campus. So we're hoping to kind of change programming and draw people's attention to some of the challenges that men are facing, but also the strengths that they bring to campus life. So I'm excited. I've had two of my sons have gone through Maryland, and I'm hoping a third one's on his way. So I have a lot of experience working with young folks and students on these topics. And so I'm really excited to talk to you further, and happy to answer any questions you have about the course.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. And so just as a reminder for folks, as questions come up, I see a couple already in that Q&A chat box, so feel free to drop questions in there, and then we'll get to them at the end. Okay, so Kevin's course is one of the required courses that you would take, and as a reminder, that is the 3-credit Big Question course. The other one is the 1-credit Carillon Studio course. And so we actually have a nice little video here that I think will provide a good overview. Fingers crossed that the sound works and everything. Please let me know if it doesn't or if you can't hear it. Okay, 1 second. It looks like maybe the sound isn't working. I will troubleshoot for a moment, so bear with me.
Hi, my name is Erica Estrada-Liu, and I'm the Director of Curriculum for Carillon Communities. So Carillon Studio is a 1-credit course that all Carillon students take. So we're really trying to teach students how to be successful at the university through things like how to engage in meaningful teamwork and collaboration, but then also how to approach problems with a creative problem solver's mindset. Basically an approach to not necessarily always solving, but trying to address different complicated problems.
It really brought together students from many different backgrounds, so they can introduce a lot of different perspectives to one another, and I felt that I learned a lot by talking to people that I otherwise wouldn't have talked to, and I thought that was most valuable for me.
In the course, the students are in a team for the entire 10, 11 weeks. You work on a design project with a team on some sort of design challenge, and we sort of change it up every year. The second project is Design by Maryland. Now, Design by Maryland is more focused on yourself and you designing your path at Maryland.
Initially, I actually wanted to major in mechanical engineering, and I had chosen computer science thinking, okay, maybe I want to do that, or maybe I want to do mechanical engineering. I was able to understand, like, I had a passion for this field and like the real world experiences that you'll be able to face.
For both projects, you're working with a team. So they become your support system, your cheerleaders, but then also maybe like pushing you to consider other things that you haven't considered before. We're creating something new, and so we need everyone's perspectives all at the same time, working on this thing, bouncing ideas off of each other.
All right, so that was a little bit about our one credit Carillon Studio course. We're really excited to be able to offer that in partnership with the Academy for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And so students in Carillon will take a different big question course depending on which community they're a part of. But every Carillon student takes this course. And so in that way, it is really sort of a unifying experience, and it helps create that Carillon experience in a really meaningful way. All right, so I wanted to highlight a few other opportunities for students in Carillon that go beyond just the required courses in that first semester, right? So both of those required courses take place in the fall semester, and then in the spring semester, you're still a part of Carillon. You're still, if you're living in Easton, you're still there, but there are ways for you to stay involved that go beyond the required coursework. And so we have opportunities for you all to serve as peer mentors with our Idea 101 course. And so that's a great opportunity once you have advanced past your time in the one-year program. It's a great way to give back and to mentor students who are currently going through Carillon. We have awesome student ambassadors, and you'll meet a couple of them in a second here, who are helping with recruitment efforts and answering questions for prospective students. We have teaching assistants for our big question courses. So if you really loved your course and you had a great connection with your faculty member, that's a great way to stay in contact with them and continue to be in connection with Carillon. In addition, we have micro-credentials, which recognize our students who go above and beyond and take on these leadership opportunities. We do have a couple optional courses. So in addition to the 2 required courses, we do have some options for you in that spring semester when there aren't required courses. One is CHESI 228B, which is the Common Ground Deliberative Dialogues course. This is a great way for you to be able to connect with your peers and really dive deep into a current hot button social issue and try to sort of pick apart that issue and come up with some potential solutions, options for action. And so we're really excited. We're actually piloting that course for the first time this spring semester. In addition to that, we do also have PLCY 215, which is the Innovation and Social Change Do Good Now course that we offer in partnership with the Do Good Institute. This course is in a lot of ways an extension of our iGive community, but it's typically open to all students, and it's a great option as well for students who are interested in thinking about philanthropy and kind of also addressing a social issue. So great options for doing that kind of work in your second semester with either of these courses, if that's something you're interested in pursuing. Okay, so we get lots and lots of questions about housing, and being in Freshman Connection even adds another layer of questions for folks. So I'll address some of this now, but I imagine I'll get some more in the Q&A portion, and that's totally fine. As I mentioned, our students in Carillon Communities do live in Easton Hall. Easton is one of our first year residence halls up on North Campus. It looks like that, what you see in the photo, which many of our residence halls look like that if you've been to campus. And so what I will say is if you choose to enroll in Carillon and participate in our program, the default is that you will live in Easton. Living in Easton is not a requirement though. So if you choose to maybe commute from home, which we always have some commuter students, that's totally fine. If you request to live elsewhere, maybe for accommodations related reasons or otherwise, that's also totally fine with us as well. And so I just want to make that clear that this is our designated housing, but it's not a requirement that you live there. But the vast majority of Carillon students do live there. And then a word about roommates. And I think I already saw a question kind of about this. So as far as roommates are concerned, the roommate finder process that is facilitated through Resident Life will open up in June. So if you are someone who is looking to be paired kind of with a roommate through a questionnaire and a number of factors, that's a great option. So you'll log into that platform, answer some questions, and then they'll sort of match you with folks who you're compatible with as a roommate. If you have signed up for Carillon at that point, they will only be matching you with students who are also Carillon students, right? So that's option one, is to kind of go through that roommate finder process. Option two is to just have a random roommate. That's where you don't request a roommate, and Resident Life will just assign you someone. Lots of folks do it, and that can be great. And if you choose to go that route, they will sort of assign you another Carillon student. What I will say for Freshman Connection students is often they try to pair Freshman Connection students with other Freshman Connection students. So there's probably a higher degree of likelihood that the other Carillon student will also be Freshman Connection. I don't necessarily think that's a guarantee, but they do try to do that. And I think that's because of your class schedules and wanting there to be alignment with that. So yeah, if you have questions about that process or about how do they determine roommates or anything like that, definitely reach out to us. And if we can't answer it, then we'll get you in contact with the Department of Resident Life. The last thing I'll talk about here really quickly is that if you do have a roommate that you want to live with who is not in Carillon at all, that is also fine, but Easton Hall is reserved specifically for Carillon students. So if you choose to request a roommate who's not in our program, you will be assigned to a different resident hall. And so that's totally up to you. If you really want to live with someone and you're willing to kind of forego the Easton experience, that's totally fine. And you would just reach out to us to let us know. All right, so if there are questions about that, feel free to drop those in the chat and we'll get to them in a moment, but that's sort of the overview of housing information. And now I want to introduce a couple of our awesome Freshman Connection colleagues. We're really excited to be able to do this in collaboration with them. And so I wanted to give John and Jamie an opportunity to introduce themselves and kind of go over some relevant next steps as it relates to sort of joining Freshman Connection and then ultimately being a part of Carillon.
Thank you for that introduction, Ben. First off, I just want to introduce myself. My name is John Molnar, and I am the Freshman Connection Coordinator. So I will be working with closely with all of our wonderful attendees that we have here. And first things first, I do just want to congratulate everyone here on being accepted into the University of Maryland. I understand I am probably not the first person to congratulate you, but I hope I am not the last because that is no small accomplishment. However, I do want to get into this. So your first step is actually just confirming your spring admission. This could be done by the link below where it is ter.ps/fcenroll. And in fact, you can see all of your next steps through this link as well. There, you could confirm your spring admission. This is always just the first step. There, you would also get your UMD credentials. This would include like your email and your username. And then you could submit the housing and dining plan agreement. This must be done by May 15th. So this does have a deadline of May 15th. And these are all things that you can be doing even today. Then the next step is just waiting for that FC enrollment form. This Freshman Connection enrollment form will open on March 26th. Normally opens at the start of business on March 26th. So unfortunately, you cannot do this right now. You do need to wait for a couple more weeks. But then after you do that form, you need to wait a couple days, but after you wait a couple days, in submitting that form, you will be sent FC registration modules. These modules will basically inform you how to enroll in not only these Carillon courses, but also courses across your entire fall schedule. So you would complete those modules, then afterwards you will be able to register for classes. In this case, you would be registering for CLUS 080, and the section code for that is FC01. All Freshman Connection section codes begin with an FC, so in this case it's FC01 on Testudo. If you have no idea what I'm really talking about with Testudo, don't worry, you will learn more about that through the registration modules. But in doing so, this will automatically enroll you in the 2 required Carillon courses. So this would actually enroll you in the FMSC 190 course and the IDEA 101 course. And with that, I want to bring it back over to Ben.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Appreciate that overview. For folks who might be jotting this down furiously or screenshotting, this is all on our website as well. If you go to the Spring Admitted Students page, you can find the information there as well. All right. So I did want to highlight a few important dates. I think some of this was on the previous slide, but just to kind of put it on the forefront for you all, we've already had 2 of our in-person admitted student open houses. And in fact, I may have met some of you already, which is great. We've got one more admitted student open house on April the 8th, and then we have a virtual one on April 19th. So that's a great way to get to see campus, learn more about sort of the university, and then also connect with us. We'll have breakout sessions at each of those open houses where we can continue to tell you more about Carillon. So the March 26th date, I'll repeat that again. That is when enrollment opens, as John shared. And so make sure that you keep that on your calendar and be ready for that. And then May 15th is a big date as well. So May 15th is when it's a deadline for international students to confirm that they're going to participate in Freshman Connection. It is also the deadline to submit your housing and dining agreement. And I do want to highlight, just in case it's confusing, we have designated housing for Carillon in Easton Hall. You do still have to submit a housing and dining agreement. So that can be confusing for folks. You do still have to do that whether or not you choose to participate in our program. So make sure you do that to sort of reserve your spot in Easton if you choose to be a part of Carillon. All right, this is our contact info. If you want to reach out to us, I know we're covering a lot of information right now, so questions might arise later. Reach out via email or phone. And we're in close contact with our friends over at Freshman Connection. So if it's more of a Freshman Connection question, we'll toss it over to them and vice versa. So just reach out to one of us and we'll be able to help you out after today's webinar. But I did want to carve out a good amount of time here for a couple of things. One is hearing from a couple of our current students, and then we'll have a good amount of time for questions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to invite Sophia and Utkarsh, a couple of our awesome student ambassadors, to join us via video. There they are. Awesome. And so this is a really great opportunity for those of you on the call to hear a little bit about the student experience, right? So we've talked a lot about the courses and the different things we offer, but we don't know the ins and outs of what it's like to actually be a student here. And so we've got a couple of folks who can do that. And we're really grateful that they're spending their evening with us. So Sophia and Utkarsh, if you all want to just introduce yourselves to the folks on the call and maybe share name, your major, and then which Carillon community you were in. And let's start there first. And one thing I'll say before they introduce themselves is that neither of them were actually Freshman Connection students. So they were both in Carillon Communities, but not as Freshman Connection students. So they'll speak about their experience, but just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, if you all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia. I was in the iGive Carillon community in fall of 2023, so like last semester, and my major is I'm majoring in public health and public policy.
Hello everyone, my name is Utkarsh and I'm a computer science major, and I was in the iGive community for fall of 2022. So that was like 1 year ago.
Awesome. And then I guess one thing that I'd love to hear from you both, as it relates to your Carillon experience, what is something that stood out to you or something that was really meaningful from your time in Carillon?
Yeah, for me, the most like meaningful and unique aspect of being in Carillon was specifically being a student in iGive, just because it's my first ever course that like taught me grant making process and allowed me the opportunity to play like a really big role in donating like a $7,500 grant to like a specific organization. That was just very unique, and it was a wonderful experience for me.
I was also part of iGive, so my answer might be redundant, but something I really enjoyed was we had a $7,500 grant that we had to give to a nonprofit organization at the end of the semester. And so after like 4 months of discussion and deliberation and just debating amongst ourselves about what is like the meaning of philosophy, because all of Carolina Communities classes are all have a big question that they would like to answer, and I think it's a very exhilarating and cathartic experience just talking amongst yourself and with your professors and the TAs about what the answer to the big question is. And the amazing part is it's different for everyone. So I hope all of you can also have a similar experience, like answering these big questions with Dr. Roy.
All right. Thank you both for sharing those experiences. It's always great to hear the positive experiences that Carolyn students have. It's a great reminder. And so with that, what I will do is go ahead and open things up for folks to put questions in the chat. So if you want to click on that Q&A button, I know we already have a couple in there, but feel free to put your questions in the chat. And those can be questions for our two students. If you're wondering about their experiences, about what they've sort of liked, what they've gotten out of the program. They can also be questions for our staff and faculty as well. If you're curious about the course or you're curious about the logistics of being in Carillon, sort of anything's fair game at this point, and we'll spend most of the rest of the time trying to answer those questions, either typing our responses or we will verbally respond to them. So I will give everyone a few moments to start to add to the Q&A, and then we'll take a look. Okay, so I see a couple of questions. Also, in case you're not seeing it, there is a section of answered questions, or at least there is on my end. So you can see the responses to folks' questions when someone provides an answer. One thing I'll go ahead and address, so there's a question here about students being assigned roommates from the Freshman Connection Carillon community. So to reiterate the sort of roommate process, if you decide to come in to, if you decide to participate in Carillon Communities and you are not going to request a roommate, they will assign you another Carillon student. And I think in all likelihood, it will be another Freshman Connection Carillon student. And that's what I can say about that. If you do request someone, then if you choose to go through the roommate finder process, then you will get to kind of select a roommate, but that will still only be from a pool of Carillon students. So those are the kind of two options if you are looking to live with a person who is in Carillon Communities as well. So that one is good. And then I will go ahead and actually pose this next question to our students. What was it like living in Easton Hall? I don't know if you both lived in Easton, but if you can speak to that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so for me, I like Easton. It's like basically any other like traditional freshman dorm. We do have AC. I know some Carillon students this year, or I guess like last semester, didn't have it, but I know next year everyone will have AC in their dorm. And in terms of like living in Easton, I think it's very nice to live with people you go to class with. Like for me, I found my future roommates because they're Easton, and I find that really nice just because it's really hard to find friends in college sometimes, and that having that community at home is really useful in adjusting to the college experience.
I lived in Easton last year, and I don't really have any complaints. First thing, you have AC, so that's always a plus. Uh, and something I think really is great about Easton and Carillon is that you'll be living with people who are also taking Carillon classes. So you'll be meeting people within your Carillon community, outside your Carillon community. You could probably just walk into the lounge at like some random time, and you'd find people to talk to. And I think Easton Hall is a great place to make friends and just like learn about the community in college.
Awesome. I'm reading through some of the questions and I wanted to touch on a couple things really quickly. I did see a question about whether masculinities and family health is the only community that you can participate in as a freshman connection student. And the answer to that is yes. So if you're in freshman connection, that is the one community that you are able to participate in. Luckily, it's a great one, so you've got a great option there. See what else. One thing that there's some questions in here about numbers and enrollment. And so I'll just share with you all, and I don't think I mentioned this, all of our communities in Carillon are fairly small, right? And so they're anywhere from 25 to 30 and might go up as large as 60-ish, which means that your community course will have that many people in it. In the context of UMD and in your first year, that's actually a really small class size, and that's one of the benefits of participating. And so the masculinities course will have a maximum of 25 students in it. And so the community itself will be at max 25 students, which is great. That means you'll know all your peers. Professor Roy will know you, and that'll be a great way to make those connections. There was a question here that I would love to toss to our Freshman Connection colleagues about the Freshman Connection experience. Does it have any advantages as opposed to coming into the program as a regular freshman? So I don't know, John or Jamie, if either of you want to speak to that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, certainly. I could actually speak upon this firsthand because although I am the coordinator for Freshman Connection, way back when I was also a former Freshman Connection student. So I'm not just saying this just because it's my job. I'm saying this because I lived this. And what I would say is there are a few advantages. One of the advantages is I would really hone in on the time of the classes and the classes themselves. These classes, they do run from 3 to 8:45 p.m. And because of this, you are taking only Freshman Connection courses. This means that the students in these courses are also only Freshman Connection students. You are not going to have anyone in your class that has taken this 2 or 3 times before. You're not going to have anyone in your class that is a junior or a senior. Everyone there is taking the same first steps as you are. They're taking their same first exam as you. They're writing their first paper as you. So because of this, there's a better sense of community. Additionally, in all of this Freshman Connection courses, they're generally smaller than the courses that a fall admitted student might take. This is just because Freshman Connection students can only take these Freshman Connection courses. And for the most part, most courses, they typically run around about 30 students. Some courses are a little bit more, some are a little bit less. But generally speaking, even the courses that are a little bit more, they're still a lot of times a quarter or a half of the size as the courses that a fall admitted student might take. Because of this, you will have a better faculty to student ratio. So it will be easier to actually reach out to professors and kind of get to know them better. And I'm sure there's many more benefits. I don't know, Jamie, are there any more benefits that you could think of that I didn't lament on?
I think you did a good job. And just to give a quick introduction to who I am, my name is Jamie Stentz. I'm manager of undergraduate programs at Stentz. I work really closely with John in Freshman Connection. But no, John pretty much hit on it. But I'd say if you guys ever have any further questions or down the road about the whole enrolling in Freshman Connection, the process and so forth, do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Our email is simply fc@umd.edu. So please, we're here to help throughout the whole process, enrolling in the program, picking your courses, seeing maybe how the IDEA 101 course and the Family Science course, how that works with the rest of your schedule. We're here to assist you guys with that and help you through that whole process to build it into your schedule. So don't ever hesitate to get in touch with us. We're here for appointments as well, phone, Zoom, in person. Advisors are here to assist you when you're ready to enroll in Freshman Connection, how Carillon can fit with all of that as well.
All right, thanks to both of you. One thing that I'll note, I saw that this was answered, but just to confirm for folks, so there are designated Freshman Connection orientation sessions. We will have a presence as Carillon at those sessions, and so we look forward to connecting with you there. I see a question here. Do students need to register for all of their fall classes in order to register for Carillon? My sense is no. John and Jamie, feel free to correct me, but I think can folks add the Carillon courses and then add other courses at a later date, or does it all need to be together? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So you can add it at any time. So as John was mentioning earlier, not that you have to memorize all of this, the whole enrollment process, but after you enroll in the program, which is this complete and simple form, we'll continue email communication with you, leading all the way up to when, hey, now it's your time to register for your classes, including the information, some details through those registration modules as well. But you can, once you pretty much have access to your registration and you're able to jump on Testudo and begin the registration drop ad, you can plug in the cluster course. So that's CLUS 080 FC01. The reason you're registering for that course particular, because that's going to automatically then put you in IDEA and the Family Science course. So that's why you want to look, you won't look for that one. You'll still be able to read more information about Family Science and IDEA on the schedule classes as such. But registration wise, it's really key. And that's where don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You're registering for that CLUS 080 course. But let's say you built some of your schedule and then down the road, you're like, oh, I want to add this back in. You can come back and add. Once you gain your registration, you can continue to add drop courses as you need to see fit, talk to advisors about things. All the way through the start of the semester, of course. And we're just, again, here to help you throughout that whole process. But yeah, it doesn't have to be immediately right away. You can kind of figure things out. You can come back, make adjustments as needed should you start the track towards one major, but maybe have some discussions in the summer and you change and you kind of want to follow a different track with a different major and that changes your schedule around. We can look at that with you and still make sure the two courses that are required for Carillon in the fall through Freshman Connection work with that schedule too.
And just to confirm for all of you, once you add that CLUS 080 cluster and get added to the two required courses, you are officially a Carillon student. So that's sort of how you join Carillon, and we'll send some sort of confirmation email welcoming you. But that is on our end of Carillon the main action step as far as joining our program. Yeah, and as Jamie shared, if you have questions about that or it's confusing, definitely feel free to reach out and someone can definitely help you out with that process. All right, I will make a last call for questions if folks want to quickly add anything to the Q&A that we can answer for you now. Otherwise, I'll probably put the contact info back up on the screen in case you missed it. and you can always follow up if you have more questions. Okay, I do see one other question that I think is maybe another John and Jamie question about other classes that you can enroll in, slash do you get an advisor? So if either of you want to speak to that, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, please feel free to add anything to this. So in terms of classes, so you would through Freshman Connection, the course offerings are courses that get you on track with your intended major. So a lot of the starting sequence courses for majors, and then plenty of options for general education requirements as well that all students have to do. So our course offerings is made up of a good chunk of those two areas, which is pretty much what builds out your schedule, especially for a first semester student. And so when you visit our website, you'll be able to see we have all the information in regards to, and of course, when you enroll in the program, exploring those registration modules. It's not just registration modules in terms of like, how do you do this? How are you going to register for classes? It also, we have a requirement of a major module, which is finding your intended major, looking at those information, what is required for you course-wise. But what we can go ahead and throw in the chat here is our quick link to a comprehensive list of all of our course offerings. So you can get a better idea and so forth. And the Carillon courses are listed on there as well, with the little note reminder about what you actually have to register for to get both of those onto your schedule. But we'll go ahead and throw that in chat. It's a comprehensive list of all of our course offerings in this fall 24. In Freshman Connection. And then, yeah, if you have any questions about it, let us know. I'll also put in our short link to our major course recommendation sheets. So we have those as well based off your intended major, so you get a better sense and idea of what would those courses be for the fall semester.
Great. And then I'm seeing another question that I'll answer quickly. If I'm understanding this question correctly, you're speaking to sort of the capacity of the community and what happens if it fills. And so, yeah, it is first come, first serve. So we have 25 seats in the masculinities and family health community. So once you get your paperwork in and you are good to register for your courses, we encourage you to go ahead and add our courses as soon as you can to ensure that your that you have a spot in Carillon. And so once we hit 25 seats, that will be the max. All right, last call for questions. Great. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Feel free to reach out if other things come up, but I want to just sort of conclude by saying that we hope that you choose to consider Carillon as a part of your first year experience at the University of Maryland. We think we've got some great courses to offer you. We think we've got a great community experience that you can get plugged into. And so we look forward to hopefully meeting you when you get to campus. And so feel free to reach out, and otherwise have a great rest of your evening, and thanks for joining us.